Hello there. Today, let's discuss about an interesting topic in the area of environmental economics, that is donut economics. So today I'll be dealing with the core concepts of donut economics. In the 20th century, the major theories that governed economics had been the demand equals supply, leading to an equilibrium in the economy, which only deals with the demand side as well as the supply side. Second one is the circular flow of income in the four-sector economy, including the households, firms, governments, and the international trade. Third comes I is the center of market. That means the human beings are kept as the center of the market with ego, money, and nature at his feet. The rationality of the individuals are given more prominence in the 20th century. Fourth comes the primary goal of any economy is endless growth. This, in other words, refers to the self-sustaining growth path that an economy might have. Even though all these theories were prominent in the 20th century, yet they couldn't solve the 21st century problems. The 21st century began with the global financial meltdown of 2008. Then came the climate breakdowns across the world, as you can see from the picture, the floods in Mozambique and the wildfires in Sydney. Then came the civil wars across the world, and finally the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdowns. Since these 20th century economic policies did not help to solve the 21st century economic problems, in 2012, Kate Raworth, in her book Doughnut Economics: 7 Ways to Think Like a 21st Century Economist, she proposed an alternative path towards solving these problems sustainably, as citing GDP is not a sustainable indicator of success because many countries have achieved higher GDP growth rates but were not able to prevent the natural disasters. The theory of doughnut economics tries to bring a striking balance between the theories of 20th and 21st centuries. Now, if we look into the doughnut economics, Kate Raworth presents a doughnut around which an individual's life revolves, as you can see from the figure. The outer circle or the crust represents the space for ecological ceiling or overshoot, where humanity puts pressure on the environment. The space in the middle represents the deprivation or shortfall of income, food, etc. This leads to the death and destruction of millions of people. The green ring represents a just space for humanity. It is a new thought process for a better world. It helps to make the leaders answerable to mainly two questions. Number one, 12 basic human needs or social foundations based on the Sustainable Development Goals of UN, and the second one is the ecological ceiling where humanity exists. It is not a complete policy in itself, but it urges people to come together and decide on their required policies. The new policy makers realize they don't need a separate policy for financial meltdown, climate change, health emergencies, etc. They need a new paradigm that focuses not on endless growth but on resilience and thriving on well-being of the communities. This can first occur in higher income countries but can also be adapted to lower income countries. The required policy change is entirely possible overnight, and if political regimes and systems are supportive and proactive, it will not take decades to implement these. For example, Amsterdam is the first city to commit to the donut model in its financial and climate recovery plans. Kate Raworth, in her book, says that there are 7 ways to think like a 21st century economist. Number 1, change the goal. 2, see the big picture. 3, nurture human nature. 4, get savvy with the systems. 5, design to distribute. 6, create to regenerate, and finally be agnostic about the growth. Now we'll look into all of these in detail. First, change the goals. For over 70 years, economics has been fixated on GDP, or the national output, as its primary measure of progress. That fixation has been used to justify extreme inequalities of income and wealth, coupled with unprecedented destruction of the living world. For the 21st century, a far bigger goal is needed to meet the human rights of every person within the means of our life-giving planet. The goal revolves around and within the concept of donuts. The challenge is creating local and global economies that help bring humanity into donuts' safe and just space. It can act as a compass for human prosperity. It may not give rise to endless growth, but it would help to balance the social foundations and ecological ceiling. Therefore, instead of pursuing ever increasing GDP, it is time to discover how to thrive in balance, as the last century theories were not formed to solve the social problems. If we use the donut economics and the data from the world to address the social problems, we can see that in the diagram all the social problems or the social foundations needs to be addressed in a positive manner, because each and every social foundations based on the sustainable development goals are having a lot of shortcomings. Now the donut economics gives us areas or foundations that needs proper addressal. Similarly, the ecological ceiling also needs a proper address. If the policies are made according to these foundations, then these red as well as grey markings can be reduced and the life can thrive in a balance in the green area. If we look into the newspaper every day, we can see that there are a lot of social as well as ecological problems. And if we try to mark those ecological and social problems, we can use the donut economics and get a similar picture like this, which needs a proper address so that the social and ecological foundations can be addressed to live within that green sphere. The second way is to see the bigger picture. The mainstream economics depicts the whole economy with just one extremely limited image, that is the circular flow diagram. Its limitations have furthermore been used to reinforce a neoliberal narrative about the efficiency of the market, the incompetence of state, the domesticity of household, and the tragedy of commons. It is time to create a new economy, embedding it within society and nature and powered by the sun. Every society is structured by political, social, cultural, and legal constraints, and the economy is embedded in society itself, as the economy is a subset of society. This new depiction invites new narratives about the market's power, state's partnership, the household's core role, and the commons' creativity. In the 20th century, we mainly had four major players in the circular flow of economy or the financial flow, and they are households, state, commons, and markets. The state can be a laissez-faire state or a socialist state, whereas the market had consumers, producers, laborers, capital owners. In the 20th century, due to the different market structures, we forgot to properly accommodate the households and commons as well as the financial flow. That should be avoided to bring in a new and bigger picture, because they also have some important role to play in an economy. The third way is to nurture the human nature. At the heart of 20th century economics revolved around the portrayal of a rational economic man, that is, He has told us that he is self-interested, isolated, calculating, fixed in taste and dominant over nature, and his portrayal has shaped who we have become. But human nature is far richer than this. Our new self-portrayal reveals that we are social, interdependent, approximating, fluid in values and dependent upon the living world. Moreover, it is indeed possible to nurture human nature in ways that give us a greater chance of getting into Doughnut's safe and just space by accommodating the socially acceptable nature of human beings with human values and their interdependence with others and nature. The next way is to get savvy with the system. The iconic equality or the intersection of markets supply and demand curves is the first diagram that every economic student encounters. But the problem is, growth will not simply even things up, or growth will not simply clean things up. It is not the complete solution for an economy's problem. A far smarter starting point for understanding the economy's dynamism is systems thinking, summed up by a simple pair of feedback loops. Putting such dynamics at the heart of economics opens up many insights, from the boom and bust of financial markets to the self-reinforcing nature of economic inequality and the tipping points of climate change. It's time to stop searching for the economy's elusive control levers and start stewarding it as an ever-evolving complex system. The fourth step can be achieved through the fifth and sixth step. The fifth one is design to distribute. In the 20th century, one simple curve, that is the cusat curve, whispered a powerful message on inequality, that is, it has to get worse before it can improve. Growth will eventually even it up. However, inequality is not an economic necessity but a design failure. 21st century economists will recognize that there are many ways to design economies to be far more distributive of value they generate, an idea best represented as a network of flows. It means going beyond distributing income to exploring ways of distributing wealth, particularly the wealth that lies in controlling land, enterprise, technology, knowledge, and the power to create money. In the picture, you can see that in London, where housing and rent crisis is there, if uh, they follow the pattern in Vienna by affording affordable social housings, then it will be distributive. Similarly, the traffics can be avoided by providing cheap public transit system. Likewise, you can see in the picture that there are corporate oil drilling in the North Sea, which are available to the people, but they are not being affordable by the ordinary people. Whereas the community microgrids in Kenya, which allows the common people to get electricity in an affordable manner, which is a distributive principle. Likewise, uh, the small and micro industries which are profit driven only focuses on profit. They do not focus on welfare of the people. They are divisive in nature. Whereas the purpose-led businesses in Mumbai focuses on something beyond profit, like employment or giving some aim for the people to live on. So it's a distributive principle. The sixth step is to create to regenerate. Economic theory has long portrayed a clean environment as a luxury good, affordable only for the well-off. This view was reinforced by the environmental cusat curve, which once again whispered that pollution has to get worse before it can get better, and growth will eventually clean it up. However, no such law exists, as ecological degradation is simply the result of degenerative industrial design. This century needs an economic thinking that creates a regenerative design to create a circular economy, not a linear economy, and to restore humans as total participants in Earth's cyclical life process. The self-correcting assumption needs to be removed. More stress on the 3 R's must be given in the 21st century. The 3 R's are recycle, reduce and reuse. Now in the picture you can see that there is land degradation due to cutting down of trees. Only the area that had previously been there were trees being cut down led to a situation like a barren land, whereas in the next picture you can see that there is landscape restoration with the help of farming, terrace farming. When it comes to manufacturing, a lot of components can be reused for something else. If it had been reused or recycled, we can save a lot of resources and energy. If you can see in the first picture, in 2000 there was a car-centered district which had bridges and roads, but later on by 2010 that car-centered district changed into a nature-centered district for the free flow of river. Now this shows the regenerative policies taken by the government. Similarly, Singapore's hospitals are best examples how to regenerate nature through its hospital. Now you can see that there are a lot of plants and saplings being planted across the hallway, whereas in UK there are no such thing. Now if you want to create a regenerative process, we don't need lands. With the available resources we can have a regenerative process. The fifth and sixth step says that if we use all the available resources in a way that it is regenerative by design as well as distributive by design, the population will not exert pressure on the ecological ceiling as well as on the social ceiling, because all people will be better off if it is being optimally utilized. The last step is to be agnostic about growth, or to rethink about the economic growth. One diagram in economic theory is so dangerous that it is never actually drawn. That is the long-term path of GDP growth. The mainstream economist views that endless economic growth as a must, but nothing in nature grows forever and it will come to a plateau. And the attempt to support that trend is raising tough questions in high income but low growth countries. It may not be hard to give up having economic growth as an economic goal. Today, we have economies that need to grow, whether or not they make us thrive. We need economies that make us thrive, whether or not they grow. These radical changes in perspective invite us to become agnostic about growth and to explore how economies that are currently financially, politically, and socially addicted to growth could learn to live with or without it. Like a 21st century economist, these 7 ways of thinking don't lay out specific policy prescriptions or institutional fixes. They promise no immediate answers for what to do next, and they are not the whole answer. But they are fundamental to the radical different way of thinking about economics this century demands. Their principles and patterns will equip new economic thinkers and the inner economist in us all to start creating an economy that enables everyone in the house to prosper. Given the speed, scale and uncertainty of change that we face in the coming years, it would be foolish to attempt to prescribe now all the policies and institutions that will be fit for the future. That is, the coming generation of thinkers and doers will be far better placed to experiment and discover what works as the context continually changes. What we can do now and must do well is to bring together the best of the emerging ideas and create a new economic mindset that is never set but always evolving. The task for economic thinkers in the decades ahead will be to bring these 7 ways of thinking together and add many more. Today we had learned about what donut economics is and the 7 ways to think like a 21st century economist as mentioned by Kate Raworth in her book. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Till we meet again, thank you.